Hello and welcome to a New Year's Eve edition of Knots Today with myself, Mark Shardlow. Hope you're doing well. Here's what's on the show today. First, we've been out to find out why next Christmas will mark the end of an era for an iconic Knots display.
We feel that we'd like to bow out on a high. So 2025, hopefully, we can get to 30,000 in 1 year and off we go on a high.
More on that in a moment, plus we'll be looking at some of the inspiring people named in the New Year's honours. It includes a college principal, a dementia campaigner and a care leader, all who've been celebrated for their brilliant service to the community. We've also been to the streets of Nottingham to find out how people are thinking about their New Year's resolutions heading into 2025.
As I'm getting older, I've learnt that the most important things are just the small things, like morning coffee, like spending time with your pets or your loved ones.
We've also been to Basford United to see how the football club are preparing for one of their biggest games in their history this weekend in the FA Trophy.
It's massive. It's the furthest the club's got in the competition. We obviously beat Halifax in the last round, who were top 6-7 in the conference. And Eastleigh aren't far behind, so it'll be a really tough task.
And we'll hear why Nottingham Forest aren't getting ahead of themselves despite ending the year in second place in the Premier League.
It's just about the next game for us as players. We let everybody else dream and enjoy the moment, enjoy the ride. Definitely, that's the fantastic part about it. But we've got a job to do. We've still got 19 games to go as players.
So all that and loads more coming up just for you. But first, as Christmas and New Year comes to a close, one brightly lit house that sticks out in the county will turn off their annual festive display for another year. But soon what's become a popular attraction will be switched off for good. The couple behind the display, Nuttall, says this time next year will be the very last Christmas that they do it. Wendy and Tony Swift started their light shows 21 years ago and have raised thousands of pounds for charity, from £200 in their first year to £25,000 and more. John Guerrero has been to see them.
It's been more than 2 decades since one couple in Nuttall shed light onto their community and quite possibly into the outer universe too. The bright Christmas lights of Wendy and Tony Swift raise important funds for charity each year, bringing people from across the county to be here in Laurel Crescent. They've been doing it for 21 years, but this has been their base since they bought the home in 2007. And since then they've raised more than £250,000 for vital causes like the Haywood House Hospice, where Wendy's dad John died. Wendy says they started the display years ago because they wanted to give back to the charity.
21 years ago, on the 23rd of December, my dad John Sheeran died. He'd been a patient at Haywood House and he loved to come and see the Christmas lights. When we lived at our old address, we'd switch them on a Sunday night at 6 o'clock when he'd come round the corner to see my children that was young then at the time. And when he passed away, we decided that we would try and raise some money for Haywood House. So the first year we did it, we raised £197 and we said that we would double it.
Fast forward to 2024 and they're now raising an average of 23 grand each year following the COVID-19 pandemic. Tony says over the years they previously used typical rope lights, which were a lot pricier than their current LED ones.
Every day, a couple of hours, 3 hours, overall about 8 weeks setting the lights up this year. Different design we do each year. All the lights are now LEDs, so it costs us less than £10 a night, £25, £30 a night to run. So there's a big difference in LEDs to the old type rope light type of thing.
They've made their light up palace bigger and more extravagant year on year, but Wendy says next year will be the final one. That's because they've reached their fundraising target and they can't keep one-upping themselves anymore.
We cannot get any bigger. We can't expand the garden, so we feel that we'd like to bow out on a high. So 2025, hopefully, we can get to 30,000 in 1 year and off we go on a high.
With this year being their penultimate year, the Swifts hope their Christmas light-up spirit lives on in the community for an eternity, even when they're not switched on anymore. Jordan Guerrero for Knots TV.
It's one not to miss next Christmas, I think. Right, it's time for our first chat of the show, and we're talking about the New Year's Honours List. It's the annual occasion where people are celebrated for their achievements and their dedication to the community or something they're passionate about. Nationally, both the former England manager Gareth Southgate and the TV personality Stephen Fry have been made Sirs. Meanwhile, here in Notts, at least 14 people have been given honours. Joining me now to talk through some of the names on the list and how the honours work is our news editor, Andrew Topping. Andrew, welcome along. Before we talk about names, just tell us a bit about how the list works.
So, as you said, it's that annual occasion, Mark, where we start to hear the names of some of the great people that have done some brilliant things in the community, and they are people who have been thanked and congratulated for their outstanding contributions to all sorts of things in their community. That might be contributions to sport, it might be contributions to education, or even just as simple as helping somebody in their community, or something like, for example, services to disabilities or people with disabilities. So it happens this time every year. That's the New Year's Honours List, and it also happens in the summer for the monarch's birthday. So it used to be the Queen's birthday, now it's the King's birthday honours list. And there's a whole ranking system for how people get their honours at this time of year. So the kind of the key one is what you mentioned there, Gareth Southgate. He's been knighted, and then it goes further down. So we've got the Commander of the British Empire, and then it goes to the Officer of the British Empire, a Member of the Order of the British Empire, and so on and so forth. And then there's smaller honours, but no, by no means are they worth less. That's the British Empire Medal as well.
Yeah, I always like to look down the names. Who can you mention from Notts who've been honoured this year?
So I'm going to start off with the MBEs, because we've actually spoken to a couple of them today. And the first one I'm going to mention is Andrew Cropley. He's the Principal and CEO of Vision West Nottinghamshire College in Mansfield and Ashfield. And he's been honoured for his services to Mansfield and Ashfield. That's for helping the college to expand. They've got a new campus opening on Chesterfield Road in Mansfield, and they've also got money to open a new advanced distribution and manufacturing centre. That's in Ashfield. But part of his work has also been around the Mansfield Place Board and getting tens of millions of pounds into Mansfield and Ashfield for regeneration projects. Now, he said that he's proud to have the MBE. But it's a team effort that involves Vision West Notts College, and it also involves the Mansfield Place Board as well. Now, another person that we've spoken to today is it's Penny Watson. So she's the wife of the former Notts County and England defender Dave Watson, who of course was sadly diagnosed with dementia a decade ago. She's been a key figure in trying to get more research done into dementia in sport. She actually spoke at an event we went to last month at Trent Bridge about the importance of getting people talking in a male-dominated sport, and has worked with clubs like County and Sheffield United in getting more of like a memory club, getting more of the former players talking. So they're two of the people who've had MBEs. And there's some others across the county, including Maggie Waring. She's had the British Empire Medal. That's for her work in care for the disability for Portland College in Mansfield. We've also had a professor called Professor Tom Rodden, who is at the University of Nottingham and has worked with the Department for Culture, Media and Sport for his services to technology and academia. And then, of course, we've had Penny Briscoe, who's right at the top of Paralympics GB, and of course, you worked with over the summer at the Paralympics.
Yeah. So Penny lives just outside Nottingham. She came to the city to be a canoeist many years ago. Now she's one of the top administrators, and she's effectively led the Paralympics team over the last few games to the phenomenal success it is now. She's called the chef de mission, but basically it's like a chief executive, and she does all the inspiring speeches, and she leads the teams that provide world-class opportunities and facilities for the many athletes, many of them in Notts, who go on to win fantastic medals. So I know that she's absolutely delighted, made up that she's become a CBE.
So of course she's the CBE, which is just below the knighthood in terms of the rankings of the honours list, and that's the same honour that Professor Tom Rodden that I just mentioned has got as well.
Yeah, fantastic. So what happens next to all these people on the list? I guess it's the date at the Palace or wherever.
Yes, it is the date at the Palace. They'll get that confirmed, I would imagine, in the next few months, and that's where they'll either go to Buckingham Palace or one of the other royal households, Windsor perhaps, for what's called an investiture. That's where they'll get their insignia from the King or from Prince William or whoever it is that's there on the day. Or if they've got the British Empire Medal, which of course Maggie Waring's got, she'll get that from the Lord Lieutenant in a ceremony, and then they'll get invited to a party at a royal household.
Yeah, fantastic day. I mean, I love going through all the names, and like you said, you know, Gareth Southgate up there and Stephen Fry and all the The local names there is a brilliant way to start off the new year, isn't
It
it?
is indeed. 14 people across Nottinghamshire,
Yeah.
at least.
Yeah, fantastic. Andrew Topping, thank you very much for joining us today. Let's take some of your news headlines now. And first, a road has been closed after a serious crash between a car and a pedestrian in Balderton. The pedestrian, a woman in her 80s, was taken to hospital following the incident at the junction of London Road and Horton Lane at about 10 to 5 on Monday afternoon. The driver of the car was spoken to by officers and an investigation into what happened is ongoing. Nottinghamshire Police have said anyone who may have witnessed the incident or has got dashcam footage should get in touch with them on 101. Next, a man held by police on suspicion of rape has been bailed while investigations continue. Police say a young woman was attacked in Victoria Park off Bath Street in Sneinton at about 3 o'clock in the morning of December the 23rd. The victim was supported by specialist officers after what police described as a serious sexual assault. A 19-year-old man has been arrested by police. He was arrested on Friday on suspicion of rape, but has since been released from custody. Officers are urging anyone else with information to call 101. Right, it's time for a short break, after which we've got a bumper sports roundup coming for you. And if you didn't see the results over the weekend, well, they were great for most of our teams. We have Forest winning at Everton to go second in the Premier League. We had Notts County winning to go second in League Two. The only disappointment really were Mansfield Town, but what a year they've had. And we'll also be looking ahead to a big week for Baseford United, who've gone as far as they ever have in their history in the FA Trophy. All that next. Hello and welcome back to a New Year's Eve edition of Notts Today with myself, Mark Shardlow. Thank you for joining us. Here are some more news headlines first, and parents on a new Nottingham estate say they're frustrated because a new school there remains unopened. The 210-place Waterside Primary School was due to open in the city's Trent Basin estate in September after construction was completed by the Department of Education. But the school hasn't opened due to low pupil numbers, and the Greenwood Academies Trust, which was to run the school, has pulled out. It's led to parents criticising the project, saying it's causing problems for them accessing education. Next, a suspected drink driver has been arrested after a car crashed into a parked vehicle in Calverton. Emergency services were called to Hollywood Lane just before 10 to 10 on Saturday, December the 28th, after a car left the road and headed towards a driveway. It caused damage to a ground floor flat and a lamppost. A 25-year-old man was arrested shortly before 1:30 in the morning. Notts Police say anyone who may have further information about the incident should get in touch on 101. And today is the final day for the annual Winter Wonderland Christmas Market in Nottingham. The stalls, the ice skating, food and drink and the big wheel have attracted thousands of people to the city since opening on November the 13th, nearly 7 weeks ago. But today, New Year's Eve, marks the final day of the year for the annual festivities, which are likely to return again next winter. Last week, the Meadows Group, which runs the Wonderland, said this year had been a success for the traders. Right, more news headlines later on, but it's now time for your sport. And we're starting with Nottingham Forest. The Reds will end 2024 and start 2025 in second place of the Premier League after a remarkable run. That's after fellow title chasers, and yes, I think we can call Forest title chasers now. Fellow title chasers Chelsea were beaten 2-0 away at Ipswich last night. Forest got there after their own 2-0 win over Everton on Sunday, and after that one, forward Chris Wood said the players aren't getting ahead of themselves quite yet.
Yeah, I mean, it was nice. I mean, it's nice ball through from Walks to me to flick it to Ant, and then a bit of combination play between me and him. It's a nice how it works with Ant, so it's good. I really like playing with him, and yeah, it's nice to get a goal. And then Morgs took his finish absolutely brilliant, cutting inside and then putting it back across picks and into the goal. So yeah, it was a great couple of goals, and I think both of them at really crucial times. Look, yeah, it's nice. We're just, as I think we've all been thinking about, it's just about the next game for us as players. We let everybody else dream and enjoy the moment, enjoy the ride. Definitely, that's the fantastic part about it. But we've got a job to do. We've still got 19 games to go as players, and we want to do as best as we can and see where it takes us, and then we can worry about that come April, May time. But at the moment, we just need to focus on the next.
And Notts County are also going to start next year in second place in their league, League Two, following their exciting 5-3 win away at Cheltenham at the weekend. That was their third league win on the bounce, and it's seen the Pies jump from mid-table to the automatic places in what's a very tight League Two table. But they'll also start the year with a top two clash against league leaders Walsall at Meadow Lane. Speaking after the Cheltenham game, winger Sam Austin, who scored on Sunday, said results have been on the way for the Magpies.
Proud of each other after that performance, showed a lot of character, and especially after the Salford game, I think it's been a huge turnaround in mentality, because I think that was a bit of a lesson for us, and to bounce back with 3 wins, we've got to keep that going now. We defended well when we needed to, and also broke well, so lads are really happy. Obviously disappointed to probably concede as many as we did, but like I said about the character of the lads to keep knocking on the door and coming back and scoring 5, so delighted.
So with Forest and County doing well, our City's certainly flying high right now on the football pitch. But we're turning our attention to the Northern Premier League Premier Division and Basford United now. They've got 2 massive games coming up this week. The Ambers faced Eastleigh on Saturday in the 4th round of the FA Trophy. That's the competition below the FA Cup. They got there after beating National League side Halifax in the last round, and it's the furthest that Basford has ever been in this competition. But first they come up against local rivals Ilkeston Town tomorrow in the league, and Sam Jones has been down to Greenwich Avenue to see how they're preparing.
Through to the final 32 of the FA Trophy, with Wembley not too far away. Basford United supporters could have a second Christmas if they beat Eastleigh here on Saturday. Their opposition are 2 tiers above them in the National League, meaning if the Spitfires were to be promoted, they'd rise to League 2 in the English Football League. And with one of the club's biggest ever fixtures just days away, Basford's new manager said the fans have been a big factor in their success in the competition so far.
It's massive. It's the furthest the club's got in the competition. We obviously beat Halifax in the last round, who were top 6-7 in the conference, and Eastleigh aren't far behind, so it'll be a really tough task. But hopefully we can give them a good run. It's not easy for teams to come here, so hopefully we can get a good result. It's been great, they've been supportive. We're a bit on a poor run at the minute in the league. Things aren't been dropping for us, and results. But we've had 2 good wins in the cup, so hopefully we can start taking the cup results into the league.
The FA Trophy is one below the FA Cup and is exclusively for non-league teams. Their match against Eastleigh kicks off at 3 o'clock on Saturday afternoon, but before then, the Ambers face local rivals Ilkeston Town away tomorrow. And as Luke said, this year league form hasn't been the best for Basford. They're currently without a point in 5 and have played 6 since their last win, though they've had cup wins between those fixtures. With the stakes high against Ilkeston, league points are essential and their reputation is on the line, so they can't afford to take their eye off the ball.
We're looking forward to it, but first we've got a big derby against Ilkeston on Wednesday, so we've 2 really big games in a week, so we're just trying to concentrate on Ilkeston first, and then we can look towards a cup game against Eastleigh on Saturday. We've been in games, we've had a few injuries, it's no excuses, we just need something to drop for us, and hopefully the camp's still positive, hopefully we can pick up a result New Year's Day and then the big game on Saturday in the cup.
Basford now hope they can do what it takes to beat Ilkeston tomorrow, then Eastleigh on Saturday, and take a step closer to the dreams of Wembley. Sam Jones for Notts TV.
And good luck to Basford. Meanwhile, Mansfield Town also playing tomorrow. They get their 2025 season going at the One Call Stadium when Bolton come to town. The Stags have won 2 of their last 3 League One matches, but lost 2-1 away at Reading in what was a closely fought game last time out. They start the new year in 11th place, but really what a year it's been for the club, who rose from League Two in a dramatic automatic promotion push back in the spring. Speaking after the Reading loss, manager Nigel Clough said 2024 was certainly a year to remember.
Oh, it's been an unbelievable year, to achieve automatic promotion halfway up League One, 3rd round of the FA Cup at home to look forward to. I think it's been a pretty good year for everybody. Keep improving, try and get better players, better quality, but just keep improving and taking the club forward. You come in here, you think that 6-7 months ago we were in League Two and everything. Now all of a sudden we're coming to stadiums like this. We're taking the game to them. and we're playing in a manner that I think they want to see. We want to play that way. We're going forward, and on a different day we'd have got, never mind a point today, we'd have got 3. So we're going to keep playing like that, whether it be at Peterborough, whatever the stadium. The bigger the stadium, the better.
That promotion night back in the spring was certainly quite a moment for the Stags. The club secured promotion to League One back on April the 16th after beating Accrington Stanley 2-1 at Field Mill. And we were pitch side to see the celebrations, and given it's one of the biggest sporting moments for our 3 Football League clubs this year, we thought we'd take a trip down memory lane and relive some of the full-time scenes recorded by our own Jordan Guerrero back in April.
My 4-6 game, we played fairly well, we controlled most of the game, and end of the day, we got the 3 points, and we win the League One, aren't we? 12 long years of hard work, we've deserved this out of every club in this league. We've been fighting so close. 2 years ago we got to Wembley and got heartbreak. You can see how much it means to these fans.
Elation more than anything, but it's absolutely buzzing. We've been so long, we've been to Wembley, we've been all over, but now it's time.
After the match, Stags players were lifted into the Mansfield sky by ecstatic fans, and some of their star men had a few words to say about the achievement.
So it's obviously nice to get to League One, and we'll see how we go next year. So I don't really have many words for it. I was just kind of happy I was on the pitch when the final whistle went to be a part of it. Yeah, it's just amazing.
It's been hard. We've been on the change every day and battled in every game, and we've done it. Fans have been unbelievable for us as well.
Manager Nigel Clough said after the game that getting promoted in the manner they have is magnificent, describing this year's promotion race as one of the most competitive League Two seasons in recent times.
We said at the start of the season as well, this is the best League Two it's been for some time. And to go up automatic in the company of Stockport and Wrexham, with their resources and everything that they have, I think makes it an even better achievement.
That was quite a night. Finishing our sport with ice hockey, and the Nottingham Panthers have got a New Year doubleheader against Coventry Blaze underway this afternoon. The Panthers welcomed the Blaze to the Motorpoint Arena, which we'll have all the reaction to on Thursday's show. They then travel to Coventry tomorrow for their first game of the new year. Both matches are in the Elite League. The Panthers went into today in 5th place, just below their opponents who sit in 4th, though the Panthers have played one fewer match. And don't forget, we'll have all the action from the side's recent 3-2 loss to the Sheffield Steelers right here on Notts TV at 9 p.m. on New Year's Day. Plus, we'll also have all the action from today's game against Coventry showing on this channel. That's this coming Friday at 7:30. Time for your picture of the day now, and of course it was one of the biggest stories of the year when Ratcliffe-on-Soar Power Station closed, and thanks to our own Joe Locker for this snap. And time for a look at the weather. It's going to be a wet and windy one tonight and tomorrow. If you're out celebrating tonight, temperatures will be around 10 degrees into the early morning with that wet weather all the way through. Tomorrow will be wet for the most part, but by the afternoon it should clear up a little bit, and we might even see some sunny spells. Temperatures dropping throughout the day though to a low of 3 by the evening. Then on Thursday, temperatures dipping below freezing and just 2 degrees during the day as we start a cold, sunny and bright snap. Right, let's take another short break, but when we get back we're visiting a chat I had this summer with the Nottingham Trent University about the Mandalorian tech at the university's new design building, and we've got a What's on New Year's Eve guide. You won't want to miss that. And welcome back to a New Year's Eve Notts Today with myself, Mark Shardlow. Here's what's happening in our county. First, a Notts council leader has said he's frustrated that a community centre in his area has missed out on regional funding. Councillor Milan Radulovic, who leads Broxtowe Borough, wanted money for new facilities in Eastwood, which he represents. The project on Nottingham Road will house services like the Job Centre and the Department for Work and Pensions, and save people travelling long distances for support. He wanted cash from the new East Midlands Combined Authority, but this wasn't confirmed at a recent meeting. Next, and new County Council research has shown 7% of all items disposed in household waste could have been recycled across Notts. The Conservative Authority and waste management operator Veolia says the county's lost recyclables included around 42 million food cans, 15 million old newspapers and 30 million glass jars too. They say the figures represent a significant missed opportunity for recycling and reusing the materials, and urge people to check whether items can be recycled before throwing them in their household bins. Now, if you haven't got any plans to see in 2025 yet, don't worry. Here's what you could still get up to tonight with our What's On guide. First, if you want to take a chance, you can be a dancing queen. And if you haven't got it yet, that's because a tribute act, Simply ABBA, are bringing in the new year at South Bank Bar. That's from 7 o'clock tonight, and tickets are still available. If you want some better jokes than that, you can head to Metronome tonight for Just the Tonic's New Year comedy special. Midlands MC John Pearson is hosting the night with 2017 finalist of Britain's Got Talent, Daliso Chaponda, French comedian Marcel Lecan, and Garrett Millerick finishing off the night. There are shows at both 7 and 9, with tickets still available now if you're quick. And last but certainly not least, star of this year's Panto at the Theatre Royal, Got One, is on the decks at the Pitcher and Piano tonight. And of course there's lots and lots going on at bars and clubs in our city and county, and whatever you do, have a lovely evening. So as the year draws to a close, we've been looking back at some of the chats we've had on Notts Today in 2024. Today we're heading back to May, when we discussed one of the biggest projects taking place in Nottingham this year. That's the opening of Nottingham Trent University's new Design and Digital Arts building. A while before it opened, I caught up with Michael Marsden, the Dean of the university's School of Art and Design, who told me the building will include film technology used in major TV and film productions like The Mandalorian. Let's revisit that chat from back in May. Tell us about this piece of kit. It sounds exciting.
It is. So this is the centrepiece to the building in terms of the film technology. So it's a 30-foot wide screen, and what it enables filmmakers to be able to do is to film on location without going on location. So the idea is that people can capture those images that they want to do, and then they can bring their sets and bring the people and the actors and film inside the building. And the example of The Mandalorian, that was all filmed in a studio, so there was no going out on location. So it's a very exciting piece of technology that we have.
There's so much virtual production going on now, isn't there? TV, films, the lot.
It is, and there's so many new productions that are being filmed almost exclusively virtually. And that enables people to be able to collaborate from all around the world, from different parts of the UK, for example. So it doesn't need to be based in big film studios in London. We'll be able to do it in places like Nottingham.
So who will be able to use this piece of kit?
Well, so primarily this is for students in the Nottingham School of Art and Design, for those that are doing virtual production courses, filmmaking courses. Importantly, this technology can get used by others as well. So for example, fashion students who might be looking at the future of how they present their wares, about how fashion retail will develop into the future, but also more widely across the university. We expect students there. But I think importantly, as a place for filmmakers in Nottingham to be able to come and use as well. The creative and digital industries is the fastest growing sector in Nottingham. So we have games industry here, we have some filmmaking industry here. So we hope that this will be able to be accessed by a much broader community. Is it really then? So the creative industries are really sort of getting a foothold, and is Nottingham becoming known for it? It is, yeah. So we have companies like Dam Busters in the games area that's making a real name for itself now, and some research work was undertaken by the university a year ago to look at the growth of particular sectors, and as the creative industries, digital creative industries is the fastest growing one in the city. How important is it sort of for the UK economy as a whole? You know, we're looking to achieve increased growth. The politicians talk about it all the time and ways to do it. Is this an area that is there to tap into? It is. It's a particularly significant area for the UK. I think sometimes the creative industries can be looked down upon in terms of how important they are. The latest information I'm aware of is that the collective creative industries were worth £112 billion to the UK economy. So that's more than automotive, petrochemical, all of those big industries, more than those all put together. So for the UK, which is known internationally for its creativity, it's a really important area of growth.
I guess this is why the university is investing in it, and it's a fabulous new building that's going up.
It is actually exactly why we are investing. Nottingham Trent has a really strong reputation in art and design. I mean, we were founded 118 years ago as a government design school. We're very proud of the track record of our graduates going to work in industry. So this new building is very much focused on achieving those things, and it is a beautiful building. It will open very soon. For those people in Nottingham that have seen it, it's been lit up at night. So very excited, looking forward to it opening.
And you talked about students there, because that's, you are a university about getting students, the best of the best, and then turn them into people who are creative and out there in the work community. What sort of jobs do people go on to that will be working in your school?
Well, a whole range from, in terms of students that will be in this building, they'll go and work in the film industry, which is, again, talk about growth, that's a very large one in the UK. They'll go and work in terms of set designers, visual effects, animators, people that are writing for these productions in the first place. We have students who study fine art, fashion subjects, a whole range of art and design focused kind of careers that people will go into.
Oh, Michael, thank you for coming in today. We look forward to seeing it in action and look forward to seeing the opening of what will be a splendid new building for the Nottingham skyline.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Interesting chat, and definitely a great new addition to Nottingham too. Right, let's have another look at one of our top stories of the day. And as the year comes to a close, one brightly lit house will turn off their annual festive display for another year. But it'll soon turn off the lights for good. The couple behind the display in Nuttall say next Christmas will be the last after 21 years of their fundraising light show. Wendy and Tony Swift have raised thousands since starting more than 2 decades ago, and Jordan Guerrero has been down to see them.
It's been more than 2 decades since one couple in Nuttall shed light onto their community and quite possibly into the outer universe too. The bright Christmas lights of Wendy and Tony Swift raise important funds for charity each year, bringing people from across the county to be here in Laurel Crescent. They've been doing it for 21 years, but this has been their base since they bought the home in 2007. And since then they've raised more than £250,000 for vital causes like the Haywood House Hospice, where Wendy's dad John died. Wendy says they started the display years ago because they wanted to give back to the charity.
21 years ago, on the 23rd of December, my dad John Sheeran died. He'd been a patient at Haywood House, and he loved to come and see the Christmas lights. When we lived at our old address, we'd switch them on a Sunday night at 6 o'clock when he'd come round the corner to see my children that was young then at the time. And when he passed away, we decided that we would try and raise some money for Haywood House. So the first year we did it, we raised £197, and we said that we would double it.
Fast forward to 2024 and they're now raising an average of 23 grand each year following the COVID-19 pandemic. Tony says over the years they previously used typical rope lights, which were a lot pricier than their current LED ones.
Every day, a couple of hours, 3 hours. Overall, about 8 weeks setting the lights up this year. Different design we do each year. All the lights are now LEDs, so it costs us less than £10 a night, £25, £30 a night to run. So there's a big difference in LEDs to the old type rope light type of thing.
They've made their light up palace bigger and more extravagant year on year, but Wendy says next year will be the final one. That's because they've reached their fundraising target and they can't keep one-upping themselves anymore.
We cannot get any bigger. We can't expand the garden, so we feel that we'd like to bow out on a high. So 2025, hopefully, we can get to 30,000 in 1 year, and off we go on a high.
With this year being their penultimate year, the Swifts hope their Christmas light-up spirit lives on in the community for an eternity, even when they're not switched on anymore. Jordan Guerrero for Notts TV.
Looks great, great work. Wendy and Tony, £250,000 raised for Haywood House on the City Hospital campus over their 21 years, 1 more year to go. Right, let's take a look at some more news headlines. First, the Nottingham City Council has confirmed changes to its New Year Bin collections for city residents. People who were due to have their bins emptied on New Year's Day will have to wait until Thursday to have them emptied because there are no collections tomorrow. Households due to have their bins emptied on Thursday and Friday will have to wait an extra day too for their collections. The authority will return to its normal schedule from next week, with bin collections taking place on their regular days. Next, police have launched a CCTV appeal after a football fan was left with a broken shoulder. The victim, a Nottingham Forest supporter, was pushed to the floor inside a bar in Bridgeford Road on December the 14th, hours after the club's 2-1 win over Aston Villa at the City Ground. The 39-year-old victim also suffered 3 broken ribs as well as the broken shoulder. Now, Notts Police have released the CCTV image and said anyone who can help in tracking the man down should get in touch by calling them on 101. Okay, let's take one final break, but don't go anywhere because we'll be chatting with our resident starman, Dan Brown, for his monthly look into the skies. Plus, we'll be getting your views on what you might change for the new year in your New Year's resolutions as we say goodbye to 2024 and head to 2025. All of that is coming up next. Hello and welcome back to Tuesday's Notts Today with myself, Mark Shardlow. It's New Year's Eve and here's what's happening in Notts. First ground is being broken on a new community diagnostics facility next to a Mansfield hospital. Sherwood Forest Hospitals Trust has put the first spade in the ground of the new multi-million-pound facility, which will officially open this time next year. The centre, next to the community hospital, will offer a one-stop shop for people to access things like blood tests and vital scans, with the aim of speeding up people either getting a diagnosis or receiving the all clear without adding strain to existing GP and hospital services. Next, councillors will decide next week whether to bring in parking charges for the first time at Gedling Country Park. The popular landmark on the site of the old Gedling Colliery has always benefited from free car parking. The park's facilities have been mainly funded and maintained through voluntary donations, but new proposals, which will be debated by Cabinet members on January the 9th, would see a £2 all-day rate brought in, which the council says could bring in £200,000 per year. Now, earlier on we spoke about New Year's honours, and with 2025 just around the corner, it's time to get thinking about some New Year's resolutions. Is it going to be going to the gym more, drinking less, or is it just business as usual? Well, with today being the last day of the year, it's out with the old and in with the new, so we've been out to ask you what you plan to change in the coming year, as well as about some of your favourite memories of 2024. Take a look at what people in Nottingham had to say.
I think to live a simpler life, so less consumption and be more content with what I've got, and you know, all that's good in my life already. Love of my partner, friends, family, good health. You know, when I look around this city, for example, at the number of people who are suffering in many ways, I feel extremely grateful for all that I have.
I don't particularly make New Year's resolutions, however, it's my aim, my mission this year, next year, to have more holidays. This year I am grateful for my health. I was diagnosed with lung cancer a couple of years ago and I am now clear, but I am thankful this year for my health.
Just live more honestly, I think. Enjoy myself, take life a bit less seriously, and I'm doing a college course in a BTEC in art and design, so I'm looking forward to starting my second year in that.
I'm not really one for New Year's resolutions, to be honest, but I think I'd like to be more organised next year and perhaps a bit more disciplined. As I'm getting older, I've learnt that the most important things are just the small things, like the small everyday things that you enjoy, like a morning coffee, like spending time with your pets or your loved ones. So yeah, just appreciating the small little things in life.
Some nice thoughts there. Right, from resolutions to constellations as we look up to the stars with our resident astronomer, Dr. Dan Brown. Although the stars might be outshone tonight by fireworks, let's take a look at what you can see in the coming weeks with Dan, who I spoke to earlier. Well, Dan, we've got some clear skies in the next few days coming up. What should we be looking out for?
Yeah, I know. The winter has blessed us with a bit of clear skies, and what we should be trying to now keep our eyes open for is some really fascinating stuff happening out in our solar system. So for one, planets. I always love to talk about planets. We talked a little bit about planets and the moon last time, and this time we're going to do the same. So it's the moon pushing itself slowly but surely in front of Saturn. Saturn is a planet that slowly but surely is going to be less visible throughout January, but while it's saying goodbye, the moon is pushing itself in front of, and that's a really good opportunity for us to follow that, far better than we had anything before in the months. So it's really nice visible on the 4th of January, 20 to 30 degrees above the horizon. It starts already at 20 past 5. It's roughly 80 seconds and the entirety of Saturn with its rings disappears behind. But if you start a little bit earlier, you'll start to see already some of the moons and the last moon Titan disappearing. And if you then wait a good hour till around about 1829, so a good hour later, then you'll see step by step these moons and Saturn sliding out. You'll also be blessed with a little bit of a star underneath of that as well, and you can see that it's not a part of the planets, because if you can see just about where the rings lie, in that plane would be where all the planets are, and this one is actually a background star. So that's a really nice one to spot. Becomes a little bit more challenging if we're then going towards the middle of January, because if you were down south in the southern hemisphere, you will be blessed with an amazing comet that looks very, very promising. Here we'll just have a smithereen of a chance to actually capture this little beast in the sky. So you'll have to help yourself here with a bit of luck and maybe spot it. It's a big challenge. So this comet, which is called C2024 G3, one of the Atlas missions discovered it. And if you're looking at it on the 14th of January, I put out here very low on the horizon. So I've given you a helping hand here, literally, with showing you where Venus is in the evening sky. And you need to measure with your fist and a hand span, then looking on the right, very, very low on the horizon. And you might just be able to spot it. It's because it's quite bright. It looks promising. It's predicted to be even a bit brighter than Venus itself. But because it's so close to the horizon, for us, it's going to be a big challenge. But down south, much easier to see. But maybe you can catch that as well. Tricky thing is, this beast is flying past the sun on the 13th of January, really close. That means actually we're holding our fingers crossed to hope that it'll survive its flyby. But it has done so beforehand, so we think it's roughly done this swing by through the inner solar system 160,000 years ago. So the chances are still quite good that this will be a promising object to behold.
What would it look like?
Well, we would probably see a fuzzy core that's just visible, and maybe you'll see a slight tail indicated, but it's difficult to judge that because we don't know how well it will survive that flyby from the Earth, the closeness of the sun. So it's going to be a very, very big challenge to see. Very fuzzy, smudgy, small bit that we'll be seeing. But fingers crossed we'll catch some clear skies, and that's very low on the horizon. So you really need excellent low visibility of the horizon, due southwest, west, for you to have any chance. Or just swing down into the southern hemisphere and you'll be blessed with something really nice, if you can.
Just a cheap flight down there. And very quickly, a lot happening up in space at the moment. The European Space Agency's Gaia mission is coming to an end after, what, about a decade? What's the significance there?
Yeah, I know. So it's a fascinating mission. So this one tried to and has measured not only the position precisely of stars, but also the velocity. So we've essentially know X, Y, Z and the velocities in each of them of every star that it could see in our galaxy, and has helped us understand many things of it. For example, how the stars move, and therefore understand our past history of the galaxy, what mixed with us, but also gives us an idea of measuring things like moons around other asteroids and trying to find that as well. And what's happening is the gas is running out this month in January, and therefore it's now phasing out its activity, but it's using that to test some of its equipment, and that means actually it's turning turning it a little bit, and we'll maybe be blessed with it getting up to 14 magnitudes bright. That means for the ones in the know, with small telescopes, you would be able to actually spot this, then becoming slightly bright, and be able to follow that as it sort of waves goodbye in the night sky. But best to check on our Facebook page as well, or keep online to see when that happens.
Dan, thank you very much, and happy stargazing into 2025.
Thanks a lot.
That's Dan Brown, and we've got a space connection for our next story. We've got a preview of a special show coming here on Notts TV. It's a look at promising local musicians, and that's recorded in Space 2 here in the city. The programme not only lets you see some great performances of original songs, but we also get to hear from the people behind the music in exclusive interviews. You can watch it on Notts TV all throughout January, and here's a look at a band called The Blooms with their song Pikehead.
Waking up to sights of sun and champagne breakfast. You see things wrong, you believe stronger, so no question. See, this is how you live. You're laughing, I won't hate you for that. Just a mixed up jump from reality. I see you coming on strong, but I'm too fast already. Sick and tired of the feelings that don't last. The feelings just don't last. I see you coming on strong, but I'm too...
That's The Blooms in Space 2, and something else airing on the show this week is 2 Nottingham Panthers games. We're starting with the side's recent 3-2 loss at home to the Sheffield Steelers on December the 27th. All the goals from that one will air at 9 o'clock tomorrow here on Notts TV. And then on Friday at 7:30, we've got all the action from their home match against Coventry Blaze, which had a face-off at 4 p.m. today. We'll also have reaction to that match on Thursday's Notts Today at 5:32. Right, time for another look at our picture of the day. Thanks to Joe Locker for this great snap of Ratcliffe-on-Soar Power Station. Beauty. And time for a look at the weather. It's going to be a wet and windy New Year's Eve. If you're out celebrating, temperatures will be around 10 degrees into the early morning. The weather will be wet throughout New Year's Day too. Might clear up tomorrow afternoon, temperatures dipping to around 3 degrees, which heralds the start of some cold, sunny and chilly weather. Temperatures going down to -1 up to 2 degrees on Thursday. That's the end of the show and the end of the year. Thank you so much for being with us throughout 2024. Emma Coldwell is back on Thursday. Bye bye.